Hello, I'm Leroy Garcia, and this is Blue Rain Gallery Podcast. Today we're doing this interview from Hacienda Garcia here in Albuquerque. We've invited one of our new artists to our stable, Eric Romero. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we have a wonderful show you've been producing that opens on the last Friday of this month. So I thought, well, let's get a head start and get a podcast going and let people know more about you. Obviously, as a gallery, we've been active for 33 years, and we have a broad collecting base. But when you come in new, even though we have a broad collecting base, we still have to educate people and get them to know who you are and stuff. So let's start a little bit with some questions that are generic in a way. Where were you born and raised? What got you into art? And what kind of education do you have behind you?
I was born in Albuquerque, raised in Tomé, and no education.
Self-taught.
Yeah, my education was Wolverine comics when I was a kid, And when I got into art, I always loved drawing. I loved, like I said, doing comics and really exploring kind of what it meant to have a creative side, especially being an only child and growing up on a farm. There's not a lot of things to do. So I kind of resisted being an artist as much as I could. I wanted to do something entirely different. And I went to school for a variety of things, but nothing really kind of stuck until I started taking a lot of art history courses. And then I got kind of hooked. And I didn't take any practical art courses, but I knew enough to kind of experiment and see if I could actually work with color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's drawing is the best part of that, or the most important. But then learning how to apply color, that takes time and patience, exploring and stuff. When I look at your artwork, it's very polished, very classical in nature, and there's not a lot of painters out there, especially within our ethnicity, the Hispanic community, that paints at that caliber. And I think you know that, looking around the world around you. We have a lot of street artists, and you can get into the traditional art forms, the bultos and the retablos and all of that. But your work really stands out. Tell me about your journey in developing the skill level that you have now.
Well, for our honeymoon, we went to Europe for 3 months. I sold my 69 Camaro RSSS, and I was like, let's have some fun. Love this woman. So she was always interested in food, and I was interested in art. So we went to all the museums throughout Europe. And what I found is that everyone who I'd been reading about, I got to see. And what was in the books was not on the walls. It was completely and totally different. You could see the imperfections. And I remember looking at David, and I was like, this is attainable. Mm-hmm. Like, I can actually do this. There's no perfection that exists within the art world. So that's what really gave me the license to say, I'm going to try this. I'm going to see if I can actually get up to this level. And like you were saying, I did the retablos. I was well versed in what we were doing here. Mm-hmm. So that's what I try to do, is take what I was learning, in school. And I love that classical, polished look, but I like bringing art culture into that.
Yeah, I think we need more voices like that, actually, in the art world, from the Hispanic side. There was a flurry during the 20s, 30s, 40s, the Industrial Revolution with Diego Rivera and Tomayo and all those guys. But since that time, it's been kind of, a little bit more on the street art formats. So it's kind of cool. Tell me about how religion has affected your artwork.
I've been a Catholic. I've remained a Catholic, which is, I think, I've been to Catholic school my whole life. And I was always second guessing everything that was told to me. Like all the dogma, I was like, but why? Mm-hmm. Give me an explanation. So the more that I questioned my faith, the stronger it got. And also it took me down paths that I could see similarities between, Assyrian and, Abrahamic religions. I could see the similarities that were happening globally. And it took me into different forms like Greek. I get a lot of inspiration from Greek mythology. And I think it's good for a person to question what's been taught to them. And with this show, I'm questioning like Our Lady of Guadalupe, what it meant for her to be actually human, like how she was perceived at the time and what she thought herself like personally, what was just going on instead of just being that icon that we see today.
Yeah, I noticed that. So you have a more of a modern take on that story. So is that what you're trying to convey, or is there more messaging in that one painting?
There's a lot. This past year has been crazy. I mean, this came from, the model is very close to little homie. She's going through school right now for art. And she led a protest against, I'm not going to say the place, but she was being silenced. And I told her, she came to me and I told her, like, you're going to be alone in this decision. Your friends will kind of leave you alone and you're going to be the lone voice. You have to be prepared for that. So when we were taking these photos, it was around that time, and she was going through it. She was leading the boycott. She was doing what she thought was right, and she was walking in her own truth. And it reminded me of something that Our Lady of Guadalupe, or the Virgin Mary, would have seen or felt when the Annunciation came through. Like, at first you have like a supernatural presence coming and saying, you're going to be the mother of God. Like, that's crazy. First of all, you're going to say, am I crazy? And then the obligation that you have to be a perfect mother. There's so much that goes on with that you don't really think about her side of the things, about having that giant responsibility and fulfilling her own destiny and her faith. And knowing, too, that she's going to see her only child be tortured and killed. So I wanted to bring a humanity to Our Lady of Guadalupe instead of seeing her as this divine figure, remembering that she was a human being.
Yeah. Very, very strong messaging. For our audience, this is the back cover of American Art Collector for the month of May. So you get your latest copy, and you'll see his painting. And I think they're actually planning on doing an article on Eric as well. Now, the other painting that I saw, which we don't have here today, is Lilith. Tell me a little bit about the background of Lilith and why you painted her.
She's the third part of the creation series I was doing. First, it was the Mestizaje, based on Botticelli's Venus, and then it was Eve. So I wanted to take them, like you said, in a modern context and explore what it really meant instead of just looking at the base symbology and saying, here's what it is. So, like I said, this last year has been crazy, and it's been a lot. I've been doing a lot of reading on the Chicano liberation movement. So I found a model, a very good friend, who had these aspects of always being on the outside, but still being very resilient. And there was nothing that she could have changed. So it reminded me about the 1960s, 70s Chicano movement, how we were labeled as agitators and we were just speaking up. We were just being our normal selves, but we still got persecuted for it, but we're always resilient and we're comfortable in that resilience. So I wanted to portray Lilith as an icon of empowerment, kind of like what she's seen for the feminist movement from the 50s and up through the 80s. I wanted to bring that into a New Mexican context and have her in Malpais and is a reclining nude. Something like you would see with Manet, and be totally comfortable in her, like an extreme environment. Yeah.
So a little bit about the story of Lilith for those who may not know. This was Adam's first wife, but it's not necessarily in the King James version. right?
It's the Hebrew alphabetic. It's in the 12th century. I can't pronounce it. Yeah.
But it's documented through other religions as well, right? Lilith. And her form was about empowerment of a woman, right? Because she didn't necessarily go along with what Adam and God wanted of her. She became an independent thinker, right? And voice. Is that what you're trying to capture?
Yeah.
Same thing?
Same thing. I mean, I only paint people I know. I don't hire models or anything. So sometimes it's hard. I've been waiting for a Lilith for a long time. And she came to me. She was learning how to paint. And I just thought it was the right time, especially with this entire series of bodies of work. The last year I lost two pretty much mothers. And so I really started to look around and see, like, who am I? Like, yo soy. It's both a statement and a question. And every time, every hardship in my life, it seemed that our culture here in New Mexico is very much matriarchal, and I owe myself to the women around me. So I wanted to paint what I thought was resilience and power of the influence that was given to me. And who I am. So it's like paying homage to the women around me.
So the two paintings, the Guadalupe and the Lilith, what are those larger format paintings, or
They're pretty big.
there?
I think this is 5x4 and the other one's 6x5.
So it's a good size piece. And it probably took because of your style. It's not something you just whip out. These are taking some time to paint.
They are. Right now, the way I work is I work on multiple pieces at once. So instead of getting that kind of painter's block, when I feel that and I'm not doing a good job, I'll just go to the other painting.
Yeah.
And it's been working out really well for me.
That way you don't overwork it too.
That is true.
Give it some space, right?
And the only drawback of that is they all progress at the same time.
Yeah. That's okay. So I noticed something as well on your portfolio, or looking back at your work. One of your favorite muses would be your wife. Yeah. What do you like about painting about her?
She's perfect. What can I say? She's well, the reason I chose her for mestizaje is because she embodied everything that a New Mexican she went through a very rough childhood. She took care of her sisters when they were sick. She was very strong. She's a Tauseña, so you know.
I know how that goes.
Yeah. And for me, just painting her, she's the perfect model for me. But a lot of times I have to remember that she's not the only. And sometimes, like, she is just like, again? I'm like, okay, just one more time.
Yeah.
She's got one in these.
Yeah. Well, we have one, the Sandia transplant. Is that her?
No,
is that a different one?
Yeah, that's a different.
Tell us about that painting.
That painting was a series of 3. One went to Florida. One is in the county's collection. And I wanted to pay homage to the transplants that made New Mexico. I got kind of tired of the gatekeeping of everyone being like, that I've been 8th or 10th generation, but they forget that we're all, especially we're brown. We came here.
Yeah.
We're transplants as well. So I wanted to just pay homage to the people that come in, really have a, a respect for the land, and then they offer their offering to New Mexico and make it just a better place to live as far as like cross-cultural heritage. Yeah.
I feel that the same. So my podcast, I've given a little bit of my family history, but 3 of my lines were here since the early 1500s. So all the way into Taos and San Luis Valley. When they first came, they were like in Jocona by Pohuaque. That's where they first settled and then moved more north. But yeah, we're all transplants, and but then we contribute to the community and the people around us. So we have some beautiful history here in northern New Mexico. One of my favorite paintings is the Perpetual Light. I love skulls. What do you get out of skulls that you like to paint?
I love just what they represent. I mean, the archetype of the skull you can talk about it for days. I mean, So it's new beginnings. It's the end of something. It represents our own mortality, especially in that painting. I wanted, those are all the rosaries that were given to me when people pass. And I had just had someone, my Aunt Corinne, pass, and I got one of her rosaries. And it happened to be a rosary that my mom made. She used to make rosaries a lot. So I have these all on my door, and I have my skull there. And I was just like, yeah, we were saying that prayer that was right outside the funeral. And I was like, this is an apt way to pay homage to the people that have passed and remind ourselves of our mortality and our time here on this plane of existence.
Yeah, sometimes I sculpt skulls as well, and it's funny. I have them on my desk, and nobody knows who the artist is, and some people come in and they're like, "That's gross," But no, I'm like, there's a message here, and it is about our mortality. It's about what we're giving here in life, and so I really like that. Thank you for the story on that with the rosaries. That's pretty powerful. And then the last one I want to cover is another skull piece. Sabio Pendejo,
Yeah.
Wise Fool. And I like the title on that. So give me some context on that one.
This one, this is my artistic practice. Reading books that before I really had a chance to get into art history, it was those books, like those are in my studio right now. And I paid homage to Van Eyck with the oranges, and just being that back in the day there used to be like a symbol of power and privilege, and right now, especially today, like knowledge is power. So I wanted to show, of course, I have the skull at the top. I mean, I only have so many years to paint. And the books in the middle are everything I've learned, and at the very bottom is a box I made. And I would put just little trinkets in there, anything that's special to me, but it represents my inspiration comes from, kind of like Pandora's box, but all these books are telling you how to paint, what to do are on top of it. So it's important to really look at why you're painting instead of how you're painting, and what stories you're trying to tell rather than what you think would sell. Mm-hmm. So it was my whole artistic practice.
Was there some eggshells in there too?
Yeah, it's
for tempura or like what?
Those are, you gotta crack some eggs to make an omelet. Some of them hatch and become life, and some of them, they're just. I have a lot of bad paintings, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. I think the bad paintings have they've been more valuable than my good paintings as far as my practice.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you probably learned more from doing a bad painting.
Oh yeah.
Than a perfect painting.
Especially when you see people and you're like, huh. I'm like, oh man. I want to get that one back to the studio, gesso it, and let's go.
Well, I'm very excited about your show and also representing you at Blue Rain Gallery, and I'm looking forward to many years of working with you, Eric. Yeah. And I like your messaging. Your skill level is off the charts, and that doesn't come overnight. That's practice, 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 and you've devoted a lot of time, and it shows. So let's get these collectors going and get some of these works in some wonderful homes. So is there anything else in the studio that we need to go over?
My brain is fried, so I'm going to have to look at the pictures here. I don't take much pictures, but one of the ones I do have, my daughter is taking the place of a muse. Of course, nice. I painted one picture of her, but it wasn't of the front. So I had this conversation with my dad, and we're farmers, and so we're looking over the land, and it used to be his saying like, "One day, mijo, this is all going to be yours," and that meant like, take care of it, don't sell it. Yeah. And it was more of an obligation than it was an inheritance. And so when I had my daughter, it changed to, "One day, mija." This is like, I got pushed out of it completely, and he really takes time to. Him and my mom take time to really tell him the importance of who we are, what we're doing. And so two of the main things that I got my work ethic from is the farm and working on classic cars. And so when he said that, and this was just about 6 months ago, Sol was over there on my El Camino with her arm like this with the ring pop. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Stay right there. I'm going to take a couple pictures." And yeah, it's just it's telling a story about how the new generation and we'll work the land. We'll have, it's right there by the Tome Hill that there's a lot of pilgrimage that goes up there for Good Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about faith and working the land, but also working for something that you love. And that's our shared classic car and like the car culture here.
So you painted the car and your daughter together?
Yeah.
With the ring pop?
Yeah. Yeah, she's just taking ownership over it. And I didn't, usually with her, I can't give her any. She's like Melissa. I tell her to do something. She's like, nope.
She's a chatterbox too. She's cute, but she can talk your ears off.
Oh yeah, for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
a storyteller.
She is. She had a sellout show at the NHCC recently.
Oh really?
Yeah, I was like, dang, dude, I'm a little bit jealous.
She's a movie star, man, in the making. For sure.
She did this one painting where she had Sandia, the watermelon, and then she did it, Sandia Mountains in the back, and she called it Sandia. And I was like, come on. Both of them are pink. I was like, all right.
She got the title right.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So what else is brewing in that studio?
I do have some, I have a Our Lady of Sorrows, which is about, I was thinking about my mom and everything I put her through.
Yeah, we're hard on our moms sometimes.
Really hard. And just it's just a simple Our Lady of Sorrows. But it's I was thinking about my mom and what a pain in the butt I was growing up. And still am pretty much. But she was my first supporter as far as like giving me art supplies. Without that I would have never, it just wasn't there. I was fine with kind of bearing it. I do have Dia de los Muertos piece, a little bit on a neon, kind of Route 66.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I have, the Chola Lisa. I've been wanting to paint that one
for
a while.
The Chola Lisa.
Yeah. Just thinking about classic. I don't like painting clothes just because it dates the painting. Yeah. But sometimes it's apt, But I was thinking about what's classic in New Mexico, and it's, the flannel, the muscle shirt, the khaki jeans. I mean, I was a confused farmer wearing those with the tres flores, It's probably why I'm bald right now. But I just wanted to do something iconic, like you were saying, is bringing that, this style of work into, and bringing the folk style together to say this is ours. Like, this is what makes our art so special, is the people and the classic styling and the culture that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important, and that sure comes out in your paintings. It's conveyed very well. Really looking forward to this. I'm sure we'll get some more photographs of stuff maybe in process, and maybe we'll put that in this podcast as well.
Yeah, it's coming along.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you, Eric, for stopping by today and taking time to do this podcast. I'd like to encourage our audience to subscribe to our podcast on any of the platforms. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can always go to blueraingallery.com under the menu bar podcast. I'd like to also encourage you to visit our online store where you can bring art into your everyday life, bluerainprintshop.com. Thank you.
Thank you.